Good morning. Yeah, good to be back. Back at home, back in the office as we continue our conversation on starting and managing export business. And I'm happy to announce today we are looking at part 30. Part 30, and we are still discussing paperwork. Oh, this is interesting. And we're still discussing paperwork. Yesterday, we talked about the pre-export documentation. I tried to take you through the export process, and we started with the export planning, then contract sourcing and signing by both parties, then funding by the exporter for the item being exported. And this can be sourced from friend, family, banks. Then product manufacturing or procurement. Then haulage of the goods. That's transport to Lagos with good in transit insurance. Haulage of the goods. And then pre-export documentation. So I actually stopped at the pre-export documentation yesterday. And I talked about the pre-export documentation, the NXP, the pro forma invoice, the insurance, the next receipt, the export license, and certificate of incorporation. And I remember talking about the fact that the NXP is valid for 6 months and it can be extended for another 3 months. Import, pro forma invoice is valid for 3 months. For export, most likely it should. I've not seen anything in that direction, but it's that for import. It's likely a bank will bounce your pro forma invoice more than 3 months old. Export license is valid for 2 years. It's 13,500 naira and is valid for 2 years. And you can process that with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. By the way, you don't need anybody to process that. You don't need anybody to process that. You don't need anybody. You can do it online and pay online and pick up the original in their office in less than 48 hours. Export license can only be obtained if you have a limited liability company and export one of the objectives of the company. After doing your pre-export documentation, that means you pick up the NXP from the bank, you fill in the detail of the NXP form, you attach your pro forma invoice, you attach your export license, you attach your pro forma invoice export license, and you attach your next receipt. So NXP, pro forma invoice, export license, CAC, and next receipt, you drop it with your bank. By this time, it's expected that goods should be on the way to Lagos if you are producing from outside Lagos. And if you are producing in Lagos, the goods should be in your warehouse. If it's in your warehouse already, then you move the container from the port to come and load at the warehouse. If it's commodity, inspection will be done at this warehouse by different agency. Even if it's not commodity, it's expected that any necessary inspection is done while the goods is right there at the warehouse. Having concluded that in the warehouse by the inspection, the good is then stuffed into the container and the container is sealed. The good is then stuffed into the container and the container is sealed. Inspection at the warehouse should supposed to be done by custom, by the buyer designated inspection agent, and by pre-PIAs, pre-shipment inspection agent. So there are different levels of inspection at the warehouse depending on the nature of the item you're exporting. So if my good arrive at the warehouse, there will be pre-shipment inspection agent that's supposed to do inspection at their warehouse. Now, pre-shipment inspection agents are inspecting goods on behalf of the federal government. They are pre-shipment inspection agents designated by the federal government. There are 3 of them. We have Kamai ASEA, we have Cobalt International, and we have Neroli Technology. Kamai ASEA covers Northeast and Northwest and North Central. Cobalt International covers Southwest, and Neroli Technology covers South, South, and Southeast. These inspect goods for government. So they are not going to give you the quality inspection report, which they claim they do. I'm not sure if they do it, but they claim they do it. But they are inspecting on behalf of federal government. But they will issue to you what is called a clean certificate of inspection, which is basically an evidence that the good eventually was inspected and cleared for export. They will issue you a clean certificate of inspection. Custom will do inspection. Custom will issue you SGD, single good declaration, and NSP endorsed by custom. Custom inspection at this point is to see if the item being exported are contraband. Remember, the items that are contraband in Nigeria, if you're not aware, the items that are not allowed for export in Nigeria include maize, include timber, include rubber, unprocessed rubber lump and rubber latex, include scrap metal, include artifact and antiquities. It includes animal classified as endangered species. It includes all imported items. All imported items. These items are not allowed for export out of Nigeria. They are prohibited for export. So where custom is checking to be sure the items being exported are not prohibited. Other inspections are done by the like of NDLEA, that is checking for drugs to ensure you're not exporting cocaine. SSS, that is exporting, checking for arms and ammunition to be sure that you're not exporting arms or ammunition. Then there's another inspection done by the buyer inspection agent. This will be as designated in your agreement with the buyer. Apart from the buyer inspection agent, there's still another inspection, and this inspection is done by the agency that regulates the item you are exporting. For example, if you finish product and it's non-food, non-drug, most likely you will need MANCAP. But if it is food product or drug, most likely you will need NAFDAC. All at this point. All at this point. The good is stuffed and sealed. The good is sealed because the shipping line does not know what is inside. Shipping line does not know what is inside. They will seal the container upon receipt. And that's very important. You notice that whenever there are issues in Nigeria and there are items being imported and maybe there is ammunition in the container, the government does not go after the shipping line. Shipping line is carrying thousands of containers and most likely will not know which one because they don't check. You go to the shipping line, pick up the container, take it to your warehouse to load. So you are the only one that knows what you loaded inside the container. The shipping line does not know what you loaded inside the container. Because the shipping line does not know what you loaded inside the container, it cannot be held responsible for what it does not know anything about. Shipping line cannot be held responsible for what it does not know anything about. So the item is stuffed into a container is sealed and hauled to the port. Please, when you are hauling goods, either you are going from outside Lagos to Lagos, from Lagos, within Lagos to the port, I strongly recommend good in transit insurance. It is 0.3 to 0.5% of the value of the goods. It can save you a lot of headache. It's a cost, but it can save you a lot of headache. Then good is clear for export with custom and other agencies. Post-export documentation is done. Now, for the post-export documentation, we have the shipping document and the escape control document. The shipping document involves bill of lading invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, depending on what I want. Those are the shipping documents. Then we have the exchange control document. We have the exchange control document. These are the documents that show that you have legally exported. Shipping documents basically show that the good has been shipped and the buyer can go ahead and pay. But exchange control document shows that the good have been legally exported. And the right documentation done. If you are exporting without the right documentation, you are smuggling. Exporting out of Nigeria without a pre-export documentation is tantamount to smuggling. In my opinion, there's no reason why you should not do your documentation. It's very simple, it's very easy, and it's basically done to encourage every exporter in Nigeria. There's no stress with it. So it should be something you want to do, unless you have something to hide. Unless there is something to hide. So stuffing and sealing of the container, haulage of the good to port with good and transit insurance, export clearance with customs and other port agencies, post-export documentation. The shipping document is delivered to the exporter by this agent. The exporter gives it to his bank. His bank sends it to the importer's bank. Importer's bank effect payment to the exporter, and the account of the exporter is credited. And the account of the exporter is credited. Remember, the pre-export documentation are NXP, we should pick up from the bank. Pro forma invoice, by the way, the bank pick up from CBN. Pro forma invoice, we should pick up from, we should produce on your letterhead as an exporter. NEPC export license, and CAC and NES export certificate of incorporation and NES receipt. Shipping document, bill of lading, invoice, packing leads, SC control document, SGD from customs, CCI from Cobalt International, that's the pre-shipment inspection agent, and custom endorsed NXP from customs. But please know that if we are doing agri commodity, we will require some additional document like phytosanitary certificate, which help us to know the cleanliness of the item being produced. Fumigation certificate, which help to know the remove the pest from the item being exported. And sometimes they ask for certificate of origin, just to know the place the good is coming from. If you intend to export agri products in the group listed below to the UK, you will need a license, unless certain limited exception, unless a certain limited exception which apply. So if you are exporting to the UK, you need a license, which needs to be renewed. Number one item, if you are exporting to the UK in large quantity that will require the license, is beef. Number two, sugar. Number three, cereals and rice products. Number four, fruit and vegetable. Number five, milk and milk product. Number six, processed goods. Number seven, eggs. Number eight, olive oil. Number eight, olive oil. These are the documentation. Now, let me speak a little bit about some of these documentation. Bill of lading is a document given to you by the shipping line, which give you access to clear the good at destination. But bill of lading are of different types. There's a type of bill of lading called the straight bill of lading. Then there's a type of bill of lading called the negotiable bill of lading. The straight bill of lading is not negotiable. The other bill of lading is negotiable. So there was a straight non-negotiable bill of lading. There is other negotiable bill of lading. The straight non-negotiable bill of lading means you cannot transfer ownership. It's often issued as non-negotiable, And when you see a non-negotiable bill of lading, it will be written on it non-negotiable. It will be written on it non-negotiable. It will be written on it non-negotiable. Now, when it's written on it non-negotiable, they are also signed. For bankers that are very familiar with shipping documents, when you see a bill of lading, copies are actually called non-negotiable. Copies are actually called non-negotiable normally. Copies are called non-negotiable normally. But those copies that are called non-negotiable are not signed. So when you see a document titled non-negotiable and it is signed, that is a validly issued original document. It's not a copy, and it can be used to clear. Only that the name of the person written on it is the person that can clear the goods. The name of the person written on it is the person that can clear the goods. The name of the person written on it is the person that can clear the goods. But when it is other bill of lading, the name of the person written on it does not necessarily have to clear the good. The person can transfer ownership to someone else. And that's one of the major functions of bill of lading. It's a negotiable transport document that allows document to be transferred. Ownership of goods to be transferred by endorsing, putting the name of the person and signing off and giving that document to the next person. As long as that person can identify himself as the person that have the name written on it, he will clear the goods. He will clear the goods. He will clear the goods. Negotiable bill of lading. A bill of lading is an evidence of receipt of goods. That is why a buyer can pay you by just getting a copy of the bill of lading. It's an evidence of receipt of goods. It's an evidence of receipt of goods. It's not just an evidence of receipt of goods. It gives title to the goods. It gives title to the goods. It does not just give title to the goods. It's an evidence of contract of carriage by the shipping line. It's an evidence of contract of carriage by the shipping line. So a shipping line giving you a bill of lading is saying, a shipping line is giving you a shipping line is giving you a bill of lading. A shipping line giving you a bill of lading is saying, I hereby undertake to deliver this good to destination. That's what he's saying. I hereby undertake to deliver this good to destination. It's an evidence of contract of carriage. It's an evidence of receipt of goods. It's an evidence of title to the goods. Another document often issued is, if it go by air, it will be airway bill. An airway bill also is a contract of carriage. It's an evidence of receipt of goods, but it is not a document of title. So I can't take ownership by signing and delivering document. If it's going by road, it will be roadway bill, also called CMR. If it's going by rail, it will be railway bill. They are all transport documents. The other document involved is invoice. What's an invoice? An invoice is just a bill of accounting. It's a document that shows how much, what are the items that were shipped or that were sold, what is their unit price and total price and the quantity. It also shows us the incoterms. Now, this document tells us amount to be paid, number one. The document also tells us amount to be insured if there is a need for insurance, number two. In trade, there is pro forma invoice, there is provisional invoice, and there is final invoice. Pro forma invoice are the invoice issued before shipment. Pro forma invoice are the invoice issued before shipment. Provisional invoice are the invoice issued after shipment but before final payment. Are the invoice issued after shipment but before final payment. They are the invoice issued after shipment but before final payment. Their invoice issued after shipment but before final payment. Provisional invoice. Final invoice are the invoice issue at the end of the whole transaction. Final invoice are the invoice issue at the end of the whole transaction. When that payment is made, that's the final. Final. That's the final. Final. Another document is packing list. Packing list is a document issued. Packing list is a document issued that show how the goods are packed. It showed how the goods are packed. Is it packed inside a bag, sack, container? It shows how the goods are packed. Packing list shows how the goods are packed. Packing list shows how the goods are packed. It helps the exporter in loading. It helps the importer in offloading. It helps custom in examination. It helps custom in examination. It helps custom in examination of the item in question. It helps custom in examination of the item in question. Packing list. Bill of lading, invoice, packing list. Certificate of origin. When this is requested, it basically is giving information about where is the good being sourced from. Because sometimes some countries give preferential treatment to some other country they have an agreement with, or they just decide to help to be able to encourage them to trade with them. Like US under the AGOA program have a preferential treatment for sub-Saharan Africa under the Africa Growth Opportunity Act. Certificate of origin tell us the origin of the goods, and it could be a basis for tariff determination at destination. Certificate of origin. Certificate of origin. Phytosanitary certificate. If I'm doing commodity, that will be issued for agri commodity, and that basically ensures it is issued by the Nigeria Agricultural Crown Science Service in Nigeria, and it basically ensures that the good being shipped is devoid of any dirt, impurities, and is fit for human consumption. Fumigation certificate is issued by the Federal Produce Inspection Service and is issued to ensure that the item being exported is free of pest. The good being shipped also will require issuance of quality and quantity inspection report. The issue of quality and quantity inspection report is required in order to ensure that at the end of the day, the quality and quantity of the goods is determined by a third party before the goods are shipped, in order to ensure that after shipment, we are sure of the quality of the goods that have been shipped, and then we are sure of the payment to come afterwards. And to the extent that a buyer will likely pay before he sees the goods, this quality and quantity inspection report becomes extremely important, because it makes it a lot easier for that buyer to be able to determine that indeed he's not paying for rubbish, he's paying for a goods item of good quality. Item of good quality. In addition, we have I'm trying to look at other documents that we often have. Bill of lading, invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, fumigation certificate, facility certificate, certificate of analysis. Okay. Then the other document we talked about are the post-export document, which I have talked about the fact that these are just documents that show that you have been able to legally export your good out of Nigeria, and of course eligible for any incentive that government is providing for those that are exporting out of Nigeria. I've been writing up now, and in the evening we'll move on to payment. In the evening we'll move on to payment. And we are going to be discussing different payment methods in international trade in Nigeria. We're going to be discussing different payment methods in international trade in Nigeria. My name is Dele Ayumiba. This is Import Export Platform, Facebook Live from Trinity Trade Academy. See you in the evening by 6 p.m. as we continue our conversation on starting and managing export business. By then, we'll be looking at part 31. Thank you very much and have a great day.